If your toenails have turned thick and yellow and you are past 60, I want to speak to you for a moment. I know what it feels like to look down in the shower and not recognize your own feet. You used to not think about your feet at all. Now they are the first thing you hide in the morning and the last thing you cover at night. Last summer, your granddaughter asked why grandma never gets in the pool. You told her your knees? That was the lie you settled on 3 years ago, and she is young enough to still believe it. The pedicure with your friend, the open-toed shoes in the closet, the beach trip you keep finding reasons to skip, one by one, quietly for years. Your doctor has a pill for this. He will not mention that it scars your liver. He will not mention that it fails on 3 out of 4 women your age within a year. He will write the script in under 4 minutes because he has 6 more patients waiting, and your feet are not the interesting part of his day. The drugstore brush-on bottle is worse. It is sugar water with a medical label. Here is what none of them have told you. The fungus is not on your feet. That is only where you can see it. In Okinawa, the village healers I learned from treated feet like yours for 40 years without ever touching a pharmacy. The real problem begins in a place no doctor in this country has thought to look at in 20 years, and your nails are only the last stop on a chain that started somewhere above your waist. Nobody here is looking in the right place. Tonight you will. And by tomorrow morning, after one 20-minute soak with 4 things you already own, 3 of them in cabinets you opened today, you will look down and see skin you have not seen in years. Picture a small stream running through a valley, clean water moving fast. Now picture that stream slowing. Leaves gather, mud settles, and on the rocks at the edge where the water no longer reaches, something dark begins to grow. That stream is your blood. The rocks at the edge are your toes. And whatever is growing on them right now has been growing because the water stopped reaching them somewhere around your 62nd birthday. There is a specific year your circulation gave up on your feet, and most women can name it if they think back. For 60 years, your circulation moved with strength. It pushed warm, clean blood all the way down to the very tips of your toes, and it carried away anything that did not belong. The nail bed was washed clean from the inside, all day, every day, without you knowing it. Your body kept fungus out the way a strong river keeps moss from taking hold, not by fighting it on the surface, by never letting it settle in the first place. Then the stream began to slow. The walls of the blood vessels grew a little stiffer. The heart pushed a little less hard. And your feet, sitting at the very end of the line, the farthest place from your heart, were the first part of you the body began to leave behind. Not on purpose. The body was just running out of push, and the push had to reach your brain and your lungs first. By 70, the warm, clean water that used to reach your toenails barely arrives anymore. The nail bed is sitting in still water, and still water grows things. This is why the cream did nothing. The cream sat on the outside of a problem that was happening on the inside. This is why the pill failed. The pill tried to poison the fungus while leaving the still water exactly where it was. So the moment you stopped taking it, the fungus came back. Nothing they gave you was aimed at the stream. They were all aimed at the moss on the rocks. But here is the part that should make you angry. None of it was even aimed at where the problem is actually growing. And once I tell you where that is, you will understand why everything you have tried for the last 9 years was guaranteed to fail before you opened the bottle. What you need to do is 2 things at once. You need to lift the fungus off the nail from the outside gently, so the nail can begin to grow clean again. And you need to wake up the circulation in your feet so the body can start washing the nail bed from the inside the way it used to. The soak I am about to teach you does both. The warm water opens the small blood vessels in your feet that have been closed for years. The other ingredients change the surface of the nail so the fungus can no longer hold on. My grandmother knew this. Her grandmother knew it. It is older than any country you have lived in. One thing I want you to hear before I go further. Every year you leave this alone, the fungus grows a little deeper into the nail bed, and the body has a harder time finding its way back. This is the kind of thing that does not announce itself. It just gets quietly worse season by season until one day you realize you have not looked at your own feet in the light for 2 years. I have watched this in too many people to not say it once. 3 years ago, a woman walked into my kitchen in closed shoes. It was August in Ohio, 91 degrees outside. Her name was Margaret. She was 68, and she had not let another human being see her bare feet since 2014. Not her sister, not her doctor, not her own husband in the last 4 years he was alive. She had the kind of hands that had handled old books carefully for 31 years as a school librarian. Steady hands. But when she finally sat down across from me, those steady hands were shaking. She did not want to take her shoes off. It took her a long time to get to that part. When she did, she told me she had tried everything. 2 rounds of the pill from her doctor, the one that made her so tired she could not finish her shifts. The expensive lacquer from the dermatologist that cost her $400 and did nothing. Tea tree oil, vinegar straight from the bottle, Vicks VapoRub, which her sister swore by. 9 years of this, 9 years of hiding her feet, 9 years of canceling things. The thing she missed most was dancing. Her husband had passed in 2018, and the two of them used to go to a Wednesday night dance at the community hall. After he died, her friends kept inviting her back. She kept saying no. The truth was, she could not bear the thought of wearing the open shoes she used to wear with him. I gave her the soak. By the end of the first week, she told me her feet felt warm in a way she had forgotten they could feel. By the end of the second month, the new growth at the base of her nails was coming in clear. By the 6th month, 2 of her toes were completely new again. By the end of the year, all 10, Margaret went back to the Wednesday night dance last spring. She wore the shoes, and I am going to tell you exactly what I gave her. Get a basin or a small tub deep enough to cover your feet up to the ankle. Fill it with warm water, not hot, warm, the temperature of a comfortable bath. About 6 to 8 cups, enough that your feet are fully covered when you sit down. The first thing that goes in is apple cider vinegar. Half a cup. The kind with the cloudy strands at the bottom, the unfiltered kind. Shake the bottle before you pour. The vinegar changes the surface of the nail so the fungus loses its grip. It also gently softens the thickened part of the nail so the dead layer begins to lift away over the weeks. The healers I trained with used vinegar like this for as long as anyone has kept memory. They called it the water that washes what soap cannot. The second is baking soda. 2 tablespoons. Stir it in until the water clouds. The baking soda does something the vinegar cannot do on its own. It pulls moisture out of the fungus while the vinegar is changing the surface. The two of them work like a hand closing. One opens the door, the other walks through it. The third is sea salt, a 1/4 cup, plain sea salt, not the seasoned kind. The salt draws the swelling out of the skin around the nail and pulls the deeper layers of fungus toward the surface where the soak can reach them. In Okinawa, we used salt from the rocks at the shore. Any clean sea salt from your grocery store will do the same work. And now the last thing, the one nobody else uses, the one that makes the difference between this working in 6 weeks and this working overnight. Fresh rosemary. A small handful, 2 or 3 sprigs broken between your fingers to release the oil before you drop them in. Rosemary wakes up the small blood vessels in the feet. It is the ingredient that opens the stream back up. When you sit with your feet in this water, you will feel a gentle warmth begin in your toes after about 10 minutes. That is the rosemary doing its work. My grandmother probably did not put this in her soak. Mine did. And it is the reason the women in my village still walked barefoot in the kitchen at 85. Stir everything together with your hand. The water should be cloudy and smell sharp and clean. Sit down somewhere comfortable with a towel beside you. Put your feet in, 20 minutes, 25 if you can. No phone, no rushing. When you take your feet out, do not rinse them. Just pat them dry with a towel. The thin film left on the skin keeps working through the night. Do this every night for 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, 3 times a week. After 2 months, twice a week is plenty. That is the protocol that worked for Margaret. For a man in Tennessee with diabetic toes who had been told amputation was coming, and for an 83-year-old woman in Oregon whose nails came back clear after 14 years. But there is one thing every single one of them did in addition to the soak, and without it, 2 out of 3 of them would have relapsed inside the first year. I am going to tell you what that is in a moment, because if you skip it, everything I just gave you is temporary. The people who do this tell me the same things back to me. They tell me their feet feel warm again for the first time in years. The kind of warm you feel in your hands after coming inside from the cold. They tell me the smell, the one they pretended they could not smell, the one they were sure their husband could smell too, goes away in the first week before anything else changes. They tell me the new nail coming in at the base looks like the nail they had at 40, pink and thin and smooth at the edge. One man, a retired carpenter from Maine, told me he was standing in his kitchen making coffee and looked down and realized he had been barefoot on the tile for an hour without thinking about it. He had not done that in 11 years. That is the one I think about. By tomorrow morning, your feet will already feel lighter. The healing is slower. The nails take months to grow out, but the lightness comes the first night. What I just gave you is real. It will quiet this on the surface, and for many of you, that will be enough. Take it with my blessing. But I want you to stay with me for 2 more minutes, because if you have ever wondered why this showed up in the first place, or why it keeps trying to come back even after the soak is doing its work, I want to tell you what I tell the people who sit across from me in my kitchen. What I have noticed over 40 years of watching feet like yours is that the fungus is almost never alone. By the time it shows up on the nail, something else has been going on inside the body for 10 or 15 years. Here's what almost no doctor in this country will tell you. The watchman is not in your immune system. The watchman is in your gut. 70% of every immune cell you have is sitting in the lining of your intestines right now, waiting to be told what to do. And what tells them is the bacteria living in there with them. When that bacteria is the right kind and there is enough of it, the watchman stays awake, the blood vessels stay open, the circulation keeps moving, and the fungus that lands on your skin from 1,000 ordinary places, from a shower floor, from a pair of borrowed socks at your sister's house, from the grass in the yard you walked barefoot through last June, gets cleared before it can ever take hold. But when the gut has been off balance for years, and after 60, almost every gut in this country is, the watchman falls asleep at the gate. The immune signals get muddled. The body stops clearing what it used to clear automatically. And things like fungus, which would never have stood a chance in a 50-year-old body, find a quiet corner and settle in. Your toes are not the only thing that starts growing things you cannot see. They are just the only thing you can see. The gut needs 3 things to do its job. It needs good living bacteria, the kind that have lived alongside human bodies for as long as there have been humans. It needs the fiber those bacteria eat so they can keep their numbers up. And it needs the healing compounds those bacteria make once they are fed, the ones that repair the lining of the gut wall itself. In my tradition, the one drink that gives all 3 at once is kombucha, fermented tea. My grandmother kept a jar of it on the counter the way Americans keep a coffee pot. When the gut is fed properly, the immune watchman wakes back up, the circulation steadies, and the fungus stops finding new places to land. This is what I give the people who come to me with feet like yours. I make my own kombucha at home because I have the time and the knowledge. But for everyone watching online who can't brew their own, I give BoochBod Kombucha Gummies. The link is in the description, or you can search BoochBod Kombucha Gummies on Amazon. I told you earlier that every year you leave this alone, the fungus grows a little deeper. Margaret waited 9 years before she sat in my kitchen. The woman in Oregon waited 14. They both came back. But every one of them told me the same thing afterward. They wished they had not waited, not for the feet, for the years, for the dances they did not go to, for the granddaughter who never saw them in sandals. That is the part you do not get back, even after the nails come in clear. Margaret still writes to me. Last spring, she sent a photograph. She is standing in a pair of open shoes on the wooden floor of the community hall, mid-step, laughing at something one of her friends had just said. Her feet are in the picture. She wanted me to see them. The same road is open to you. The body at 70 and 75 and 80 still knows how to do this work. It has been waiting all these years to be given what it needs. It is never too late. I have seen it begin in people in their 80s after they had given up entirely, and within a year they were walking barefoot in their own kitchens again. If this helped you, please subscribe so I can keep finding you. Share it with someone who has been hiding their feet for too long. And tell me in the comments below what you tried before nothing worked. I read every single comment on this channel. Until next time.